let's see. Let's make sure that I'm a couple of minutes early. So anybody that's in the bushes or anything, I'm a couple of minutes early. You can mark that down in your notebook. But there was a press conference a few minutes ago, and it really was more frustrating than anything else for the press there, for people watching, on social media. A lot of questions. Let me see if I'm going to get my video up here so I can see where the heck the live chat is. It's telling me I'm signed out of YouTube. So yeah, they a lot of things that are not making sense, and there's a lot of things that have been spread about it, that there was a second suspect and that second suspect was in custody and released. That is not true. So that's the first fallacy to dispel. And then the second one is the one that's going around with the long guns. And even one of the eyewitnesses reporting a rifle, they're saying, no, that's not true. And it's a 9mm. So that needs to be corrected. And let me get to my thing here. And then they kind of danced a little bit around that first suspect when they said, well, is that suspect cleared? And how? What happened? And how? They said, oh, it's very unfortunate that that name was leaked out. Well, in the age of social media, you're not going to keep anything under wraps. That's the thing with investigations now. There are real people that live next door to things that are happening. They're on social media. It's the way it goes. But I just don't understand why he danced around and then finally said, oh yeah, he's cleared. But he danced around it, and it was very odd. That still remains odd to me. But now, here's the stuff that's more odd. These videos and stills that are being released. These videos and stills happened 2 hours before the shooting. So, that means none of the video that they are releasing is of the suspect after. None of the video is of the suspect at the university. None of the video or photos are of the suspect entering that engineering building, exiting that engineering building, exiting the campus, entering the campus. Why? How could the only surveillance video and photos be from before, 2 hours before, and nothing after? How is that possible? I don't know. That's bizarre. A university like Brown, you're telling me they don't have cameras? They don't have cameras anywhere that caught this person going onto the campus, going into the engineering building, leaving the engineering building, leaving the campus? Nothing on how come they don't have anything, him walking in the road like they have here afterwards? Something is really wrong, and if you don't see that, I don't know what else to tell you, but there's something really wrong. Were all their cameras not working? What's going on? There's a $50,000 reward now to any information leading to the apprehension of this suspect. But why did they wait so long? Now, people are up in arms and they're frustrated, saying, why did you wait so long to give us this information? Why? Why did they? And they're talking about facial recognition software. Well, we don't even have a good, this is like the best of that person's face, okay? So what are we going to see from there? The person is white, okay? The person has this, is that a Patagonia jacket on? I'm not even sure. Blue, green, black, green. I mean, we can't even see the eyes well. I think they were saying the person is 5'8". Is that, yeah. So, I mean, come on. But person doesn't have gloves on in one of the pictures, I think. In the one over there are some gloves. There's none in that one. They've got the mask on. Someone had said at the school they thought they had a camouflage mask on. Now, it's very odd because in these pictures right over here, looks like the person's wearing almost like UGG type boots. While here, looks different, looks like kind of shoes, but it's definitely the same jacket and stuff. But we also know the identity of we knew the woman last night that was killed, and then right here is the second victim. So that's been released. But finding this shooter is really not coming. They're not doing too well. I don't think so. There's something really missing here. So now I don't understand, and people don't understand around there how you're saying there's no threat, and because they haven't had a threat since this happened. But that doesn't make sense either, because they didn't get a threat. They didn't have any warning. They didn't have any threats before that shooting. That shooting caught them completely off guard. So how is this community going to feel safe because you're saying there haven't been any threats since then? Well, there weren't threats before. I don't get this. It doesn't make sense. Okay, so now we have Big Glasses. Hi, Big Glasses. Hello, Frilly Farmhouse. Hello, Linda. Jen Grill, Denise. Hello. I don't think that the shooter watching the video of this person walking with thighs rubbing like crazy in that belly, there is no way, and it looks like a woman in that video. You don't think that's the shooter that they're showing? I don't know what's going on here. This is insane. Where are the cameras? And why is no one asking that question? Why are the only videos and photos you have of this person from 2 hours before the shooting? And let me ask you something. If this is 2 hours before the shooting, okay, what ties, why didn't somebody ask, what ties this person on these streets over here 2 hours before the shooting? What makes police think that that's the shooter? What is connecting them? Nobody asked that either that I heard. Okay, what the heck is going on? You read that Brown spoke to about not having enough cameras. Well, it's not even the point of enough I mean, it's like they don't have any cameras. I mean, how are they relying on video from 2 hours before, and there's this is crazy. No, there's no way that the person ran after the shooting. Watch the video of the person walking. I saw them walking. I saw the person walking, yes. And, and then there's also that eyewitness. Now, why does that eyewitness? Okay, maybe that eyewitness is scared. Maybe that eyewitness said rifle instead. Maybe thought it was a rifle. Okay, people get flustered. But they've said it's a 9mm. So how is, I just don't get this. This is not making sense. So let me go back to what actually occurred at that press conference, because it really was, like I said, more frustrating than anything else. So now, a faculty member at Brown, Timo Volbrecht, said that he is pretty spooked after the shooting and said, and I quote, "We're pretty shaken up. I'm a faculty member. We have 2 kids." He said that it's crazy that this guy is still at large, and said, I'm happy that the police, I'm finding hard to believe this is a faculty member because it's grammatically incorrect unless the person that typed this in, and I'm having a hard time saying it that way, but I will say it since I'm quoting them. I'm happy that the police is here. I mean, it makes you feel safer. He said that he's not necessarily fearing for his life at the moment, but he has students he deeply cares about at the school, and he's worried about them. I have 2 advisees that were enrolled in the class, so in touch with students trying to support. Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely devastating. I don't know if there can be a sigh of relief right now, to be quite honest. He hopes law enforcement, here's another one, okay, but he hopes law enforcement are able to catch the person as soon as possible. But also acknowledge that Saturday's shooting is a common tragedy. You know, this is not the only shooting. It happens all the time. There's a huge problem. Okay, let's see. Now, the other student that was killed, who's been identified, is right here. Let me see if yeah. And this is Mohammed Aziz Umarzovkov. I am sure I butchered that. Is one of the 2 students that was killed at Brown University. And according to a GoFundMe that was organized by his family, a family member described him as incredibly kind, funny, and smart. He had big dreams of becoming a neurosurgeon and helping people. He continues to be my family's biggest role model in all aspects. He always lent a helping hand to anyone in need without hesitation and was the most kind-hearted person our family knew. So that is something that we learned since last night. Okay, let me go to... Authorities are analyzing the new video evidence. But it's really not new video evidence, okay, because it's video evidence that is 2 hours before the shooting. So the investigators say at this press conference they're looking into this newly obtained video surveillance, which they believe is the same person shown in a video initially released to the public on Saturday. Now, there was a lot of frustration at the press conference, people saying, why? Why are you just getting this out there now when this was taken on Saturday? And it was, excuses back and forth. So, they said they have obtained the new evidence from canvassing efforts in Providence neighborhoods, with officers going door to door for Ring or other available video footage. They say they're analyzing additional evidence of what they believe is the same person. Police believe the person shown in these newly released videos is the same person in the first video. When asked if authorities could identify the person of interest, David Lapitan of the Providence Police Department says, no, we cannot. Authorities previously released the surveillance video from Saturday afternoon, which appears to show the suspect leaving the area and remains a key piece of evidence for investigators. But was he really leaving the area? I just find it hard to believe that with all of the cameras, that this is the only shot of his face, and that there is nothing when he's entering a building, when he's entering classrooms, when he's in hallways, anything like that, and there's absolutely no video. Really hard to believe that. Now let's see. Now you say now the 3 hours. Let's see. The previous detained person of interest has been cleared in the investigation, according to the Rhode Island Attorney General. Authorities detained a man Sunday morning at that Providence hotel who they described as a person of interest. The man was released later on Sunday based on evidence that pointed investigators in another direction. Which is that direction? The person is not on our radar. The evidence came back that we are confident that we had to go in another direction, and that's why we released him. Okay. Next is this new video, right? But this is not from after. It's not new video as in that they've seen the suspect somewhere else. This is before the shooting. So that doesn't help with where this person is now or where this person could be now. And I don't know how that's supposed to make anyone feel safe, because how would anybody feel safe with it? This is just really a bunch of crap. They are asking for the public's help, saying that there's a $50,000 reward there. There was no firearm that was recovered at the scene. But again, they said that the weapon was a 9mm. And there is no second suspect, as I guess people on social media were reporting. That's totally false. The bottom line is, and here's a quote, okay, from Narona. The bottom line is, we don't know where he is, and we don't know what his intentions are. And I understand how that makes people feel unsafe. Really? That's great. But in the meantime, they're saying things like, right, there's no threat and stuff like that, right? But they're understanding how that people are feeling unsafe. Okay, Providence Police had a large presence in the community to deter crime and help people feel safe. As Rhode Islanders, the people that elected me to do this job, my counsel to them is use common sense, but go about your daily lives. We're on it. Well, how do you even know he's still in Rhode Island? Right? So, yeah. We interviewed as many people. Let's see. They interviewed students who were in the room. We interviewed as many people in that room as we've been able to identify to date. They're working with the university to identify any additional witnesses. With no firearm recovered, the shooter is still considered armed and dangerous. But feel safe. We have no idea where he is. We don't know who he is. Don't know where he is. He's armed and dangerous, but don't worry about it. FBI agents were seen Monday searching areas near the intersection of Cook Street and Waterman Street. In the video, agents in FBI uniforms are seen clearing snow from a cement wall in front of a house that was located at an intersection of Cook Street and Waterman Street. The agents were using flashlights to look between large rocks on some of the retaining walls. Okay. Later, the agents walked between the bushes and were inspecting the ground in front of the house. Okay, now, so one student named Ref Bari was on his way out of the Barris and Holly building on campus Saturday when he heard the first round of gunfire. He was sure that he misheard something. But then the pops kept continuing, he said, and that's when I ran. He ran from the building towards the science library across the street. He said he screamed, "Active shooter, run," when he realized students at the library had no idea what was unfolding next door. For 2 hours, he hid in the apartment bathroom of a girl he met as the two ran in the same direction away from the gunshots. And he said, and I quote, "This is the scariest moment for not just me, but all of my friends. I'm trying not to use the worst language possible that I can to describe the shooter, but I hope that he gets punished to the worst extent possible of the law when he's caught." Okay, still we're not addressing now it's like the president is pointing the finger at Brown University for failure to quickly identify the suspect in connection with the mass shooting. He deflected the blame from the FBI when he was pressed by a member of the media on why it had been so challenging for the nation's top law enforcement agency to track down the shooter, and said it's always difficult. You'd really have to ask the school a little bit more about that, because this was a school problem. They had their own guards, they had their own police, and they had their own everything. But you'd have to ask that question really to the school, not to the FBI. We came in after the fact, and the FBI will do a good job, but they came in after the fact. Let's see here. And then Mayor Brett Smiley was of course, at the press conference, talking about enhanced police coverage at Brown University and throughout the city. And I quote, saying there was specific enhanced coverage in Fox Point, Wayland Square, Thayer Street, and Hope Street. They are the commercial districts in the area. Law enforcement agencies from throughout the state have been contributing help. The IRS was also mentioned as helping with this. I don't know. First time I've ever heard that. The ongoing investigation was described as being very complex and involves all hands on deck. That's according to Chief of Police Oscar L. Perez Jr. Okay, and then Perez Jr. also said police are pursuing a new lead based on photos and videos of an individual taken around 2 p.m. Saturday, hours before the shooting. We're asking for the public's help to be able to identify this individual. They don't know who that individual is. Okay, and the Rhode Island Governor, Dan McKee, said Monday during the news conference that the state is reassessing safety issues in schools following the shooting at Brown University, and they are reassessing all safety issues in the school in the state of Rhode Island, and more to come on that. Okay, it's the way it always works, right? Everything always happens after something happens. FBI is offering $50,000 reward for information leading to the shooter. Again, they are considered armed and dangerous. And FBI evidence teams are remaining on Brown's campus. Ted Dox, who's the special agent in charge of the Boston field office, said agents are documenting the trajectories of the bullets to reconstruct the scene. It's painstaking work, and we're asking the public to be patient as we continue to run down every lead so we can get victims, survivors, and their families, and all of you, the answers you deserve. Okay, now the still photos right here that were shown by the police chief of the man, of the person walking on a sidewalk from before the attack. The person appears to be dressed all in black. Well, that's not true. This is dark green. Okay, so that's, police asked for tips. Okay.
He's not walking with a fake
Providence really has the best law enforcement, I believe, in the country. That's from the mayor, Brett Smiley, saying that the city remains very safe. How can you say the city's very safe when you don't know where this guy is? How can you say it's safe because you don't have any other threats? There were no threats before the shooting. So it's ridiculous. And when they're trying to convince people that when they were pursuing the other suspect, that, people are saying, oh my gosh, you were all the way, pursuing that other suspect, and what the heck? What were you doing? Like, what? Did you just let everything else go? And it was like, no, we weren't letting anything else go, or, but it doesn't look too good. How come it took so long to get this video that was taken on Saturday? Doesn't really make sense at all. Or what information led them to that other suspect? What makes them think that this person right here, what makes them think this person is the shooter? Ridiculous. We don't know. Let's see. Police chief told reporters on Monday investigations can take different paths. Okay. All detectives throughout the nation and in the world understand when you investigate a case, it takes different paths. Yes, it does. You start somewhere, you start here, and all of a sudden something else pops off and you're in a different direction, and then that's what happens. It's complex. Yeah, complex, but there's problems, big ones. Like, why is there no video or photos of this person on that campus? Why? Why none leaving that campus? Why is the only surveillance video from hours before and not even on the campus? Why? Why is one of the eyewitnesses saying it was a rifle when they're saying it's a 9mm? Now, obviously, you could mistake something, but there's not a lot of eyewitnesses to this, right? There's not a lot of people coming forward that they saw this person. I don't know. Okay, they're trying to reconstruct the person's movements. That's what they're doing. They're reconstructing that. That's what they're working on. They're serious about the task at hand. It was a lot of defense for what's going on, because they really do seem to be way more questions than answers. They really do seem to have a problem. And the biggest problem is, where are the freaking cameras in that university? Were they not working? Did they not have them? I mean, this is not just like, oh, we got a few blurry photographs of the guy. There's nothing of this guy on campus that's been released. Nothing. How? Not pulling into a parking lot, not walking onto the campus, not entering a building, nothing. That's crazy. Okay, so then what I can tell you is that this individual definitely targeted Brown University. Like, seriously? Yeah, that's okay. Thanks for that. Wow, that was that great. Because clearly we're speaking about that, and I can tell you that obviously it's something that we're looking into as far as if there was anything else that he was targeting, but it's all open. That's just ridiculousness. No more briefings, guys, Monday. unless there's a significant update. And that was really like much to do about nothing, but then the questions came in. Let's see, when asked why the photos were released so late, on Monday, it takes time, was the answer. Investigations are very complex, okay, so they just kept going with this stuff, and it was just getting ridiculous because they weren't telling anybody anything. And again, these are, the photos that were released there. And it does look like the person, either has a vest on under this. Could be a vest. Here the hat looks black. Here the hat looks blue. But it definitely is not a black jacket. There is definitely green there that I see. You see gloves here, no gloves here. So let me ask you something. How far apart are these photos, video, that if those are gloves and they seem to be gloves, that he removed those gloves? Or he put on those gloves? I don't know. The shooter's approximately 5'8" with a stocky build. Okay, they've put out a poster. And the poster is here. And they're hoping for people to start spreading this information out there in order to help them find this person. December 13th, the FBI is offering a reward of up to $50,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, and conviction of the individual responsible for this shooting. They should be considered armed and dangerous, and there's a telephone number here, and you may also contact your local FBI, but literally, they don't know where this person is. They don't even tell you why they connect this person to that. Is it just because that person is walking down the street looking like this? Is that all they have? I don't know. Is it because somebody said on the campus that the person was dressed all in black, and as they looked at this footage, this is the closest person they can identify as maybe someone, even though this person is not all in black? I don't know. Why? Because they said that somebody on the campus said a camouflage mask. That's not a camouflage mask unless, right, they're not talking about camouflage, or they're talking about, are they specifically saying it's camouflage pattern or a mask to camouflage their face? I don't know. Then you hear somebody talking about a pistol, a rifle, when indeed they're saying it's a 9mm. And so, yeah, it's just nuts going there. With everything. And I don't know, let me see what you guys are saying about this. That really is about all there is right now, nothing more. And why would the threat be any less? There was no warning, advanced warning before this. Why would there be any advanced warning if he does this anywhere else? That's just ridiculous to even say that. It's like humoring people that, oh yeah, just don't worry, just tell them they're okay. Tell them everything is fine. They're not smart. let's see now what you guys are saying. You're saying the community has to be terrified. I wouldn't send my kids to school if I lived there. No, my kids would not be on that campus. Let's see. Someone had to get a look. No cameras on campus. And where was security? You're supposed to have a key code card. You get in a building. Weird. Yeah, exactly. So scary. Carolyn, the guy who was the student teacher, said he one that looked the shooter in the eye. Well, yeah, but he's also the one that said he had a rifle. Had to be someone who knew that. You think that's a woman? I don't know. Just crazy, isn't it? I don't know. It's an infuriating press conference. I don't feel secure at all. I don't, and I'm here in New York, but he could be anywhere now. We don't know where he is. He, she. This may not even be the person, okay? This may not even be the person. They haven't said why they think this is the person. I cannot believe they didn't ask that. I can't believe they didn't ask, why is there no camera footage after? Why? How could that even be? And then even the students that were on there, like, no one had a cell phone. I mean, there's nothing. Seriously? No one saw this person fleeing? No camera picked it up. There were no cameras. They know exactly where this person was, right? In that engineering building. So either there were no cameras, there was no cameras, there were cameras, they weren't working. I don't get it. I do not get it. I can tell you that on move-in day in my son's campus, they had security around all of the dorms. You were not going in there, okay? Unless you were with a student that had the ID card already. They were all at every entrance and exit in there. See how a place like Brown doesn't have the security that they need. It's crazy. And yes, okay, you can walk into a cafeteria on a campus and you're able to walk through the doors. At least you are on like a parents' weekend without having to swipe a card. Once you get to the cafeteria, then you are stopped and you have to be with a student or have a card. But yeah, you could get into that vestibule of that building. But you're going to be stopped at the door to the actual cafeteria proper. You can get into a building where the bookstore is, stuff like that. Again, that's on a parents' weekend, but there still are cameras all around. Why are there no cameras around? Why is there no surveillance other than on a street away from the university? Tell me. I'm lost. Why is this person their suspect? And how about that first video that they showed us? Was that also prior to the shooting? Because that person appeared in like a dark blue in that first video. And then they've got some video. It's from so far away. It's ridiculous. Literally could be anyone. Could be anyone with padding on, tactile vests on. What led them to that other person? That other person that was in the hotel also had firearms. I don't know. Who led them there? I don't get it. But that's it. There's more questions than any answers. And seems like they don't know which way is up. How crazy was that foiled terror plot in LA? Oh yeah, the one about the New Year's one? Mm-hmm. Yep. There's a lot of stuff going on. But there's no excuse not to have cameras. There's no excuse not to have cameras on these buildings. Even if the doors were open for exams, there's no excuse, zero, that there's not cameras. And there's not cameras in the hallways. And there's not cameras leaving the campus. And there's not cameras that monitor the parking lots and the exits. There's no excuse for that, none. Where are all the university police? Literally, when we were on my son's campus, there were these pods, seed pods coming down, and I can't remember the name of the tree now, if I will. And I wanted some of those to see if I could grow some of them because I knew that they could sustain the cold weather, right? Because they just fall to the ground anyway. They're these long, huge seed pods. And it was funny. There were the campus police all over, and they said, oh yeah, take whatever. But every time I go up there, I don't go 25 feet without seeing campus police patrolling. They have all those boxes where you hit something if you feel threatened on campus, but the campus police they're constantly around. They're a presence. I don't understand this. How, when those shots were heard, where was the campus police? And not a lot of this makes sense at all. Cameras, campus police. Telling me the only surveillance is hours before? Would this person disappear into thin air? They're a magician now? They teleported themselves out of there, in there? I don't get it. I don't get it. This sounds really sus. Hi, Chrissy. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Listen to me. If these kids were getting messages that there was an active shooter, why wasn't the campus police around? It doesn't make any sense. I'm not a conspiracy person, but this makes zero sense. I don't know. Rob Reiner's son, it has been arrested. He's been booked. Just FYI. I'll talk more about that later. Then, Brian Walsh was found guilty. Sentencing is Wednesday. We'll talk more about that later. But I'm just so frustrated from that press conference. Ridiculous. I don't understand it. I really don't. You're talking about, an Ivy League university where people are paying top dollar, okay, to intuition, and they don't have cameras. They don't have university police around. If they have cameras, they're not working, because, well, what the hell's going on? It makes zero sense. And in this country, it's constant. We make changes after something happens. And you know what happens? That even if, it's the case that they don't have their cameras and they don't have their university security, they'll make the changes. But other universities that won't until something happens is usually the case. It's crazy. But that's how it's always been here. We'll get to it later. Yeah, our cameras aren't working. Yeah, that's not. What's the chance of anything that happened in Rhode Island? Come on, Rhode Island. Yeah, it's insane. It's really insane. I agree. The lack of cameras is BS with the tuition there. Yeah, I don't get it, Megan Else. Why? Today, in this day and age, most people have cameras on their home security. I have cameras all around my house. In every direction. I can watch them when I'm away from my house. I can watch them when I'm in my house. What the heck? It's infuriating. It's got to be infuriating for those two families who've lost their children. Really? My gosh. The people that are injured, I don't know. I have cameras everywhere also, and I think a university isn't equipped with $70K plus tuition is ridiculous. I understand. I am totally cannot believe that. You would think they would have the most up-to-date, stringent security. And just why are they not asking the right questions? And why is it like they dodged those questions? They can tell you every time Barry Morphew opened his car door, but an entire college campus doesn't have everything. I know. It's unbelievable. How did he arrive? On foot? And they have no video of him going there at all? Yeah. Why do they think this person? I don't know. Is this really just because this person is dressed like this? Is the reason they're going with this person? I don't know. Does anybody know why this person right here is on their radar? How is this person connected in any way with evidence to the shooting? That's what I want to know. They haven't said it. And the kids were taking exams, so they didn't have the door locked. Smart. And I don't even understand why that would be. You would think they would have the door locked, wouldn't you? Any kid that's taking an exam should have their identification card that's going to work on the doors, right? You wouldn't want anybody that's not a student or a teacher there to be entering somewhere where they're taking exams, right? Okay. And so that doesn't make sense to me. That makes zero sense. My gosh, even in the elementary schools, when they were doing standardized testing, they had stringent policies just so that the kids wouldn't be disturbed taking them. And you're telling me they're taking final exams and the doors are open? Why? Because the student couldn't get in. Otherwise, the student is supposed to have their identification card that opens that stuff, that has that strip. I don't get this. It's so crazy. It's different if it was the cafeteria, but you're talking a building where they're taking final exams? I don't know. It's really strange. Very, very strange. And it just aggravates me because nobody asked the questions that they should have asked, or if you could they didn't have good sound at that conference, you could hardly hear what the people were asking, but they weren't asking things that I was inquiring about. All we heard is about pretty much how they don't know who this is and where this person is. During a press briefing after the shooting, President Paxson was asked about whether the students in the specific classroom were taking an exam. She responded that she did not know the specifics. Statement coupled with a lack of sufficient surveillance cameras in the building led to questions and criticism regarding campus security and leadership during the crisis. Yeah, I'm just going to look that up real quick about the lack of security cameras. It doesn't even sound like a lack. It sounds like there weren't any. It just seems crazy. Okay, let's see here. Brown University has faced scrutiny over a lack of comprehensive camera coverage in certain areas, particularly in specific buildings like the engineering facility where a recent shooting occurred. It says, listen to this one, Megan Ellis, it says it has over 800 cameras across the campus, really? and those 800 cameras didn't capture anything? Authorities that are investigating the December 2025 shooting noted the engineering building, like many older university structures, lacked sufficient cameras. Get out of here! Get out of here. It doesn't matter if the buildings are older. Believe me, they're going to have the best, they're engineering students. You're telling me they're not going to have the best technology in there for those engineering students, and you're telling me that's going to affect? Okay, so if you live in a historical house, I guess you don't have a security system. I guess you don't have cameras if you live in a historical house because, after all, come on, it's an older structure. Get out of here with that. Oh my gosh. This forced law enforcement to rely on grainy footage of the suspect walking away on a city street and to go door to door in nearby neighborhoods asking residents for their private security camera footage to track the individual's movements. They said that there's widespread coverage at Brown, but gaps. While the campus as a whole is saturated with over 800 surveillance cameras, coverage is not uniform across all the buildings and areas. Well, why not? Are you telling me that the security of that campus doesn't get, isn't analyzed by a security expert who would say, oh, okay, you're pretty good in this area right here, but like I see a big problem over here, we're going to have to get some more cameras. And you're telling me they don't have someone that does that, just like someone that goes and signs off on freaking fire extinguishers to make sure they've been inspected and that they're still would be functioning. You're telling me there's no security analyst that's going to analyze their security? Come on. Okay, let's see what they have. Coverage is not uniform. The cameras often serve as investigative tools after an incident rather than real-time prevention mechanisms due to a lack of personnel to monitor all feeds simultaneously. Lack of personnel. Well, that doesn't even make sense. Okay? Because where's the footage? Okay, you have a lack of personnel. They didn't see it coming. Where's the footage? Criticism. Students and the public have expressed frustration that a university with extensive surveillance infrastructure didn't have the coverage or systems in place to immediately track the shooter. This incident has spurred discussions and recommendations for universities to adopt more advanced security technologies such as AI-powered video intelligence and cross-camera tracking systems to address gaps in real-time detection and response. Wow. Still not answering questions. Okay, so let's see here. Authorities are again searching for the person. Brown University had more surveillance cameras. Let me see here. What's this? Than full-time faculty. Oh boy. That wouldn't even make sense. Even if they didn't have personnel to watch the cameras, they should still have the footage. Something's really, really wacko. But, what did you say? I wonder how many incidents they have had before this that weren't caught on cameras. They have a 93.1 denial rate. That's how hard it is to get into Brown. Yeah. During a process, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now it's up to the public, guys. It's up to you to look at this grainy image of this person in a mask with no information on why this is connected to that, other than this person looks sus. Okay? So, but it's up to you guys, and you can get $50,000 if you solve this for them, okay? And in the meantime, stay safe out there, peeps, because there's no idea where this person is. They're considered armed and dangerous. And, but hey, they haven't had any threats since the shooting. That sounds like the most ridiculous thing. There's like a comedy sketch like that. Well, how many? You haven't had any threats since the shooting. How many threats did you have before the shooting? None. Oh, okay. So now tell me again why we're supposed to feel safe, because you haven't had any threats since the shooting? When you didn't have any before the shooting? Oh, yeah, okay. I thought it didn't make sense. Okay. So, yeah, I don't know. But you guys, I'm going to go have dinner. Love you guys. My kids are just getting home. I will talk to you later tonight. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about Rob Reiner. We will talk about that terror plot for New Year's Eve that was foiled by the FBI. And we will talk about this, Rob Reiner. There was one other one I was going to tell you about that we're going to talk about, but oh yes, of course, Brian Walsh, which 5 hours and 22 minutes, got a guilty verdict, sentencing and victims' impact statements, which I'm not entirely sure of. It's sounding like they're coming from the children or from the foster. I don't know. They're talking about. I'm a little confused on that one. But yeah, so we'll see on that. And the only person so far to speak out at that time was Anna's sister, who was grateful that justice was served. So anyway, I will see you guys later on tonight. Have a good one, and let me know your thoughts. If you're watching this on the replay, which I'm sure a lot of you are, because this is not a usual time we go on, put your thoughts in the comments on what you think about this. If you're frustrated, if you think this is crazy, if your child goes to a university, talk about your experiences with their university and cameras and security protocols. But it's just, to me, it's just ridiculous. But anyway, everybody take care. God bless, and talk to you later.